inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed in these radio programs are those of the individual hosts and do not reflect the official policy or position of Universal Broadcasting Network. Welcome to the National Safe Child Show, addressing the health, welfare, and safety of all children nationwide, because it shouldn't hurt to be a child. Here are your hosts, Tammy Stefano and Priscilla Perez.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the National Safe Child Show. We have quite a show today. My name is Tammy.
And I'm Priscilla, and welcome, as always, every Wednesday here on ubnradio.com, Channel 2, and you can always visit us on the chat roll, or you can call into the studio at 323-843-2826.
Yes, we have a wonderful guest coming on the show, a former foster child, and not a foster child for a short amount of time, but pretty much all of her childhood, she has been in the foster system. She has been in over 30 different homes or group homes or facilities. She has been through hell, folks. And part of the reason why we wanted to have her on, with so much happening with CPS right now, it's really important that we shed light on children that are taken away from their parents and put in the system, and that we also shed light on what these children are going through, because a lot of media now is covering the fact that, yes, there are hundreds of thousands of children that are put in the system, but what happens to these children? We only hear a small portion of the cases when it makes it to the media, and that's usually if the child is dead and the child has been killed. But what does a child go through as they are navigating and being taken out of each and every foster home? Sometimes foster homes last all of one day, folks. These children feel no sense of security. They don't feel any love, and
most of all, there isn't any stability.
Absolutely.
They're always in survival mode. I mean, I was very lucky, to have had a very good foster family, but
right.
During that time, the laws didn't protect siblings as much as they do now. They try to keep siblings in the home, in the same home. But back then, my brother they jumped him from foster home to foster home, and I can tell you from experience the aftermath of what it's like. And my older brother, he has, although he is in the workforce and, is productive, you can still see the aftermath of what it has done.
That's
And
right.
the survival skills are always here, even if you've been in foster care for one day. Survival skills are always with you. And I can't wait to speak with her and to actually hear her story.
Yes, we are excited. So I want to bring the guest on now. She's a call-in, folks, because she's not in the state of California. And I don't know. Hi, Keithsha, are you on with us?
Yes.
Oh, hi,
Yes,
Keithsha.
I am.
How are you?
Hi,
Good.
Keisha.
How are you?
We're so happy to have you on, and we're so honored. And we just want to first say that we honor your voice, and we honor the fact that you have stepped forward to be a voice for all of the other children that are still in this system, because you have said over and over again, change needs to happen.
Yes. Well, I think I'm very fortunate that I'm able to speak up, because there are still a lot of these foster children that still have involvement with their families. Unlike me, my involvement with my family is very, very little.
Right.
So I'm able to actually speak up without, getting any feelings hurt or whatsoever. So.
Right. We're so grateful
I am.
for her.
Keisha, you don't understand. I mean, to get someone who's actually been in the foster care system as long as you have, my siblings were in for many years as well, but you were there basically your entire life. Almost
Yes.
your entire life. And so I really want to know exactly, one, how you ended up in the foster care system in the first place.
Right. Well,
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. It's your turn now.
Okay. Well, it all started whenever I was 3. My mother didn't have enough, her water. She didn't have water running in our home, and so they took away me and my little brother, who was still a baby at this time. And we moved, I think, to 2 foster homes until we went back to live with her. And I lived with her until I was 7. And then it was just me taken out because one of the teachers noticed the bruises on me and called Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS in Illinois, and they got involved and took me from my mother.
Okay, so there was physical abuse in your home, correct?
Yes, very much so. A lot of it I think just went towards me because I've always felt like I was a thorn in my mother's side. She wasn't that young, but she was kind of young, to have me. And her mother died when she was 16, and then her dad was an alcoholic, so she didn't have the support system that she needed. And I don't think that she really wanted children. And I think she told me whenever I was 10 years old that I was a product of rape, and if her dad could afford an abortion, she would have had one. And so, I kind of like ding, 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 now I understand why she abused me, at such a young age.
Well, there's no excuse. There is no reason why, even when a woman is raped, if that woman feels like she can't take on a child, and that's okay to feel that way, you then need to give the child up for adoption. How long did you stay in the system and then still have some involvement from your mother? How many years did that span?
I've actually had involvement with my mother all throughout. I mean, I actually aged out whenever I was 21 because I was going to college. But I quit being as a foster care child whenever I was 19 after I graduated high school. And, I've had involvement with my mother the whole time.
So they kept your mother involved. Did you visit your mom periodically?
Yeah, I visit her throughout the whole years that I was in foster care.
Can I ask you a question? And then what happened to your baby brother?
Oh, now I have 3 siblings, and they all, I was the only one taken out whenever I was 7. And the rest of them stayed with my mother, which I think is, kind of a eyebrow, I guess, because, if she's abusing one, you would think she would be abusing, at least, the 2 other ones. But, my younger brother, he was a baby when I was taken out. He maybe was like 6 to 8 months old.
And how old?
And whenever I was taken out, whenever I was 7, so.
How old were you when they originally took you out of your mom's home? When they removed
Originally, I was 3, and then I was placed back into my mother's care. They took me out again whenever I was 7, and then they placed me back in my mother's care, I think, around the age of 8. And then I was taken out again because she still abused me. And then I was placed in foster care, and then I was placed back into her care around 9 years old, and then I was taken out, and 9 is the last time that I lived with my mother. She knew that I was not going to be placed back in her home whenever I was 12, 13 years old. And so basically the system, the judges, the counselors all knew that I was never going back to my mother's at 12, 13 years old, but they still did not let her give up her rights when I had a loving aunt who was going to take me at 15 and wanted to adopt me. But they told her that, no, you can have her if she becomes a foster child. But the thing is that she didn't live in the same state that I did. And, every state has their own foster children. They don't want somebody else's problem.
Well, and they don't want to give up the money that comes with having you in their system. You are a paycheck, as you know.
Exactly.
And
That's why.
They don't want to give that paycheck to another state.
Yes.
And did your aunt, the one that wanted to adopt you, did she contest? Did she fight harder to try to gain more custody? Or to gain custody, sorry.
She did, but she lived in another state, too.
Right.
It was just basically came down to, mother, do you want to give up your rights? No, I don't. Okay, well, then that was the end of that.
Right. There wasn't much that
got
she
a lawyer,
could do.
They got everything. There wasn't anything that they could do.
What's really questionable here is your mom continuously abuse you, and yet she didn't want to relinquish rights.
Yeah, it was so
Well,
selfish.
what happened is that, I was sexually abused whenever I was 14 years old. And she was going to sue the state because I was sexually abused. And that's when my aunt stepped in and said, hey, I really want to adopt her. Well, she couldn't really sue and get money if I wasn't her child any longer.
Right.
And that's kind of how it's been most of my life. I've basically, been some kind of, I guess, paycheck, even though my mother wasn't getting any money from me whenever I wasn't living in her care. But, she still was getting just in case kind of thing.
Right. So you were taken out at 3. It was back and forth. In between that time, you're going from foster home to foster home. Then they're giving you back to your abusive mom. Then they're taking you out again. But you said that there was one family, your first family, that you really loved and that really loved you.
Yes, it actually wasn't my first family. I think it was my third or I think it was my fourth or my fifth foster family.
Okay.
The one that I mentioned in my story in Cobden. Yes, they treated me like their daughter. Their sibling or their children treated me like their siblings. All of my good memories that I have of my childhood to the age of 10 was from this family. I remember going on vacations. I remember just, we used to play in the barn and build a fort and jump on the haystacks. Go
You were a
fishing.
kid.
Just wonderful, wonderful memories that I have of these people.
And why would they remove you from such a happy home?
Right.
Because they placed me back in with my mother. So that was whenever I was like 7, and then they placed me back in my mother's care. And then my mother abused me again. They actually stuck me in another foster home, and I think like 2 other foster homes, and then they finally stuck me back with, what I consider my first foster home. And then they moved, and they couldn't take me with them because my mother still had her rights.
You know what? I remember when my brother and I were in foster care. My mother was asked certain things, like basically she had to, find a job. She had to do this. She had to prove to the court that she was going to be a fit mother, even though we knew we didn't want to go back because of all the physical abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Your mother, did she prove to the court every single time that they, put you back into her care?
Right.
Did she prove to the court that
Did
she
she
was
do
a fit
anything?
Exactly, that she was a fit mother? Because
I think that she did. I remember a time whenever, the group home, whenever she would come and visit me, it would be like 6 hours away. I think she came and visited me once or twice. And, she was. She had a steady job. She did, wonderful things. There was still abuse. I know it firsthand from, visiting overnighters, and she would, abuse my siblings. So there was still abuse, but yeah, she showed. And the other thing that I had against me is that the lady that was her caseworker, they were buddies. And that really hindered me from getting my forever family.
that's what I was going to say, because when I was actually fighting for custody of my siblings, the social worker and the foster mom, they were very chummy also, and so it was very, very hard to kind of break that and to try to let them know what was happening. So I'm very sorry for that you had to go through so much, and I commend you.
Yes.
I think it takes a very, there's a lot of, I'm going to call them my sisters and brothers, because basically, whenever you're in foster care, you have foster brothers and foster sisters.
Yes.
And there's a lot of them that cannot speak up. Because the stuff that they have been through is just so horrible. You think my story is horrible. You should hear some of the things that I hear. And people just don't want to talk about it. And I don't blame them.
Right.
But I know deep inside of me that something has to change. There should be no reason why a foster child should be in the foster care system from the age of 7 constantly to the age of 19, be in almost 30 foster homes and not have a forever family when you have a family that is blood that is willing to take you in. I don't understand that, and that's what needs to change, in my opinion. That's why I do that, because that's my goal, is to change that.
And you are very right. You are very
Keithsha
right.
really touched my heart when there was a couple of things that she said that I just put me in tears. She said she labels it a forever family. You know,
Yeah.
and it's just, what is a child thinking when, you know, you were put into certain homes, Keithsha, that you shared. What were you living out of? Did you have suitcases? Tell me about.
Oh, no. I didn't get a suitcase until I think I was 17. And it was one of my foster brother's suitcases, and I traded him something for it. Oh, no, I had just had the raggedy old trash bag.
And
and whatever could fit in those, we took. And, I mean, there would be holes in it, and, I mean, stuff, they would pop out. And then you have foster, families going through them to make sure you're not going to steal anything, which has never been in my record. I don't think of me ever stealing anything. It was just being degrading is what they were doing.
You spoke about, so you've been through so many families, over 30. You've been in group homes. Something I had asked you was, were you ever medicated? And can we touch on that for a moment?
Yes. I mean, I don't know much about it. Maybe it's because I was medicated.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know much about.
What did they put you on? What was it?
Impramine. I think it was Impramine. I mean, we're talking like almost 20 years ago.
I know.
I think it was Impramine. I think it's a generic, or it's a mild, like Ritalin.
And
Right.
they gave you that when you were in a group home, correct?
Yes, whenever I was 10 to 12 years old, yes.
Okay, so they kept you medicated and
For how long?
From
For
10 to 12 years
From
old.
10 to 12?
Right.
Yeah, 2 years. I think I remember taking a little bit whenever I was 13, but then I kind of just, got weaned off of it. Because I wasn't, to me, I look at it and there's like a lot of horrible people out there. And I just could not keep a home. And was that really my fault?
No.
No. It was not your fault.
Was, not keeping a home really my fault?
It wasn't your fault, Keithsha.
No, honey.
It's the irresponsibility of adults is what it
Right.
is,
It was-
and of society.
Yeah, you were not responsible.
you.
You were a child looking for your forever family.
Exactly.
You did nothing wrong. But every time that you got sent from one home or another, did you become more angry?
I built up more walls. I mean, with my first family that I keep talking about that I have such loving memories of, I don't think there was any walls that were there.
At that
and
time.
it was just, people just, saying, nope, we don't want you, go get a trash bag and pack your stuff. And I mean, once you hear that, I mean, there's nothing that is going, that's going to help that. And whenever you keep hearing that over and over and over again, no wonder I didn't want to form bonds. No wonder I thought that everybody wanted to give me up, because everybody did.
Everybody did. And you were just a little girl looking for love, looking for their forever family. Did any of your foster parents in any of these homes ever sexually abuse you? And I know it's a touchy subject, and I want to bring it up.
It is a touchy subject, because I don't, I have my husband's family that don't know that, this stuff happened to me. And I mean, I have people on my Facebook page that didn't know that this happened to me until I spoke up.
Right.
But I mean, yes, whenever I was 13, 14 years old, I lived in a foster family, and the father was obese and on disability, and the mother, she wasn't all there. But it wasn't until, I stayed there for like a year and a half to almost 2 years. And it wasn't until the end that he started, grooming, as in, if I was your age, I'd be, sleeping at your window all night. And I mean, he was grooming me. And then, one day he had one of my stuffed animals in his hand and said, "Oh, you brought this to me last night." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You sleepwalked." And I'm like,
You were
okay.
sleepwalking. Did you ever have a habit of sleepwalking?
No. I mean, that's the thing that's just quite bizarre, is that I've never had, it's not written anywhere in my record that I've ever had a sleepwalking disorder.
You got so scared, you went to your foster mother, who worked every night, third shift. She's not around. Here you are, a teenage pubescent girl, alone with this man, and you went to her and you disclosed what was happening, right?
Yes, I mean, I told her, hey, and I mean, you want to talk about the most hardest conversation you have ever had to have with somebody, and you're sitting here telling, your quote unquote, mom, like, hey, your husband is saying this stuff about me, and I mean, she didn't cry, she didn't do anything, she just said, well, then you just need to sleep with me from now on, which that was great whenever she was there, but whenever she wasn't there, I was, there to defend for myself.
Right, and you took it so far, she told you to lock the door, she never reported it, there was nothing done, it stayed within the contents of that home. What did you do to make sure that you didn't sleepwalk anymore?
So I basically had these little plastic spiky curlers that I used to do my hair, and I would place them. In rows, right in the front of my door after, because my door opened, I guess, from the, bedroom, whatever, and I put them so if I was a sleepwalk, I would feel those spiky spikes.
And that would wake you up.
And I never did, but yet he would always have one of my stuffed animals in his hand.
Right, right. Finally, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
But he did go to prison for 4 years, and he died in prison less than a year of being there. So,
Yay!
One less abuser in this world.
Yeah, somebody is getting what they deserve for hurting another person.
Exactly.
I'm not
hurting a child, because you were a child.
Yeah.
And I had to testify, which was really hard because, the mom acts like I never told her. And, I mean, that's one of the hardest things to do, is to tell somebody that.
Of course.
And whenever you put your trust in, especially, the person that's, paid, might well you pay to take care of you, and you tell them and they don't do anything. I mean, I was just broken after that. Completely broken.
Can I ask you
after the foster home?
Keithsha, if I can ask you something. Okay, so you know that he went to prison, he died. Do you know if that foster mother continues to have children in her home?
No, I don't know. I don't think that she would. I would hope not. But I don't, I don't have contact with her, nor would I want to.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know after that. I don't think so, because, the agency that I was a foster child in was quite small. And and it was a very tight-knit, agency that loved, this is horrible, but I think that loved me very much. But now that I look at it now, it's kind of like they were the thorn in my side. But, she wasn't a foster parent with them any longer.
Right. I asked you a question when we spoke. I asked you, why didn't you ever go to the social worker when that was happening with you? And your response to me just was so, it pulled at my heartstrings. Do you remember what you told me?
Don't make me cry.
Oh, honey, I'm sorry.
I never, I wasn't, at this point, I was in foster homes for, 7 years or so, not counting like when I was 3, because I really don't count that. Whenever I was 7, and I've been through the ringer. At this time, I was probably in 20 homes, including group homes and whatnot. And I've been through that. I know how that is. And, I really did genuinely feel like, I was their child. And, and I blame myself for this all the time. But, I really wanted, it wasn't like, it was, I just wanted to stay there.
You told me, you said I was at a home. I was in a home.
I was. I loved school. I was going, I went to a high school that I grew up with some of the kids in some of my other foster homes, and I mean, I loved the school. I mean, you know, whenever I left that foster home, I mean, I seriously left everything. It wasn't like, you know, I mean, I left my friends behind, you know, and I mean, I don't know.
That was the
it's just really hard
trade-off.
to talk about.
No, honey, I understand, but that was the trade-off, more or less. Like, you know that this is happening.
That was the trade-off,
Yep.
yes.
But it was
And I
it
think
was
that they
worth
maybe
it.
that they knew that too, that was the trade-off that I was making. And actually, I never said anything. It wasn't until until I don't know who said something. My mother says that she said something, but who knows?
Right.
But I mean, somebody else said something, and then my counselor and her supervisor sat me down and said, "You're not going back there." And that's whenever I cried and I confessed to what happened.
Right.
And you know, so I mean, even I never said anything until I was not going to go back.
But you're saying something now. Here you are, you're in your 20s, and you've made a decision to come forward. Why is that?
I made a decision to come forward because right before Christmas, I had my first foster home, the one that I loved so much, get in contact with me. And then I had another foster home get in contact with me after that. These are both two foster homes that I had whenever I was younger. And, you know, that kind of just got it started, you know, that, you know, we need to speak up. You know, nobody, you know, if we don't speak up, who's going to speak up for us?
Right. Who's going to know what's happening?
And I always knew that I was going to be some kind of, you know, advocate or whatnot. You know, because I remember being in that office, being in the my counselor's office after the whole sexual abuse happened, and they were looking for me at home until like, you know, wee hours of the night. And I wrote some poems, and I was like, you know, I'm going to do something with this because I'm not going to make it. You know, it does not define, you know, what happened to me in that foster home does not define me. Foster care defines me. I don't want to ever not be called a foster child because that's my roots. And that's who I am, and I'm just building on top of that.
Right. And you told me you have a child now, and looking at motherhood, you don't ever, ever want your child to have to see a world like this.
I mean, because I don't.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because it's just really sad. I mean, you know, some of the things that, you know, we were talking about earlier about the sex trafficking. I mean, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's just horrible, some of the things that are happening to us foster children.
That's right.
And, you know, it needs to stop. Taxpayer dollars are going to pay for these foster parents, and they're going to pay for these counselors and these caseworkers and behind-the-scene workers. So my tax dollars is going to pay for somebody to sexually abuse me? Oh, no, it's not. Not anymore. And we need to stand up and we need to say something.
That's right. That's right.
Can I ask you something? You know, we were talking to Mara Lee, which is another advocate and a mother who lost her child. And we know that after a foster child turns 18 years old, they are usually solicited within the first 48 hours into sex trafficking, into prostitution. Did you ever have to deal with any of that?
No, I know. That's what I was telling Tammy is that, you know,
Thank God.
I come from such a small community, you know, that, I mean, the, you know, biggest town that I ever lived in before I moved to Houston was 20,000 people. And so if somebody got shot, that was something. Now, if something like this happened, now that would be huge. But no, I mean, I went to college. And, you know, I met my husband now whenever I was 19 years old. Oh. I mean, you know, my life, I didn't have anybody come up to me.
We are so proud of you. We are so proud of you because I can say, like, wow, you know, I had stability because I later, you know, my father won custody of me, you know, but in your case, foster care was your life. And so the odds of you being so stable and being an amazing mother to your child, that says so much.
Absolutely.
You don't even understand.
I'm
so happy.
Is that, you know, well, thank you. But I think the other thing is that, you know, even though I'm out of foster care, doesn't mean that I don't have to deal with the foster care emotion.
Exactly.
I think about foster care every day. I'm actually going to counseling now, which is the reason And my child is actually the reason that I am doing that, because I don't ever want, what I went through to ever to affect her.
Right.
And so I'm giving her the best thing that I can, and that is a great mother, because I know how it feels not to have anything, mother, dad, siblings, any of that.
Any of them.
So that's the best gift that I could give to her.
That is the greatest gift.
And your brother also went into the foster care system at some point, correct?
Yes, he went. He was with me whenever whenever he was a baby, and I was 3. And then at some point he went in. I'm going to say around 12 to 14. I don't know, because I was not in that home,
right,
in my mother's home. Nor did I really have a lot of. I really didn't know my siblings.
You didn't know any of your siblings, even though you visited with your biological mother because they made you. Did you visit with your siblings as well? Did she take your siblings when she visited?
Not really. The only time that I ever, I would have a visitation with her once a month, and most of the time that was in the office, in my counselor's office, and sometimes she would make that, and tons of times she wouldn't.
Right.
And it would just be her. The only time that I ever got to see my siblings is if we ever went to her house.
Right.
Which, I don't think was very often.
And, and I think that, Keithsha, I think that you and I can relate on this, because since you do have siblings and you know what this is like, and you have younger ones just like I do, for us as being in the foster care system, you really you crave that family setting so bad.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, I don't even want to cry. That you wish, you sometimes hear families and you say, I want to know what it's like to live with my brothers and sisters, to fight over the blow dryer, to be able to fight over like petty, stupid issues, because you don't know what it's like. I'm actually biologically a single child, but I have siblings that I didn't until as an adult know what it was like to be a family. And, you and I can relate on that level. When you talk about your siblings, you're like, I never got to grow up with them, to really grow up with them and, go to soccer games, go to baseball games, actually be part of a family. And that's what is so hurtful, is that if we could just educate others, your mother probably could have been a good mother if we could have gotten her resources and help to be able to educate her on how to be a fit mother. And maybe you guys could have.
I don't know about that one.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But if you were to educate, for instance, right now, if you have your younger mothers, let's say that there was a law that was instated that if you were under 21 years of age and you had children, it was mandatory to take family planning or classes.
Yes,
there are odds that you probably would have been able to educate that person at a young age. But it is very difficult, because there was a point in my life as well where I walked away, and I told my mother, I said, this is the here and now, and if you choose this and not to tell the truth, I am walking away. And I walked away, and I fought for my siblings. But I feel that you can relate to that, because of your younger siblings, because you didn't grow up with them.
But she doesn't. She's not really close to them.
You're not close to them at all.
No, they
I'm
do.
not. Well, because it seems like the system actually prevented me from having a relationship. I actually felt like the intruder because, like I said, my mom was abusive to them. I feel horrible for my 3 siblings because they should have been taken out too. And, I had one sibling that never got to experience, what it's like to not be with, an abusive parent.
Right.
But with me, it's like I went to go visit and she would be on her best behavior. And my siblings would say, my mom, my mom, my mom.
Right.
And I would have to correct them, and I would say, our mother.
Right.
And so there was even a huge wall between that, because it'd be like my mom, which I understand because, whenever I was taken, whenever I was 7, everybody was under the age of 5. So I definitely understand that.
Right. You were the outsider. You were Do you feel like you were the target? It seems like a lot of families, they target one child the worst when it comes to the abuse. Were you that child?
Yes, I mean, I remember, and, I hate even bringing up any of the abuse because, the abuse in my eyes has been forgotten. I'm not mad about the abuse. I'm mad because, I spent, 12 years in foster care whenever I had, a biological aunt that was going to take me in, and I was refused that forever home by my mother. That's why I'm mad. But I remember when my mom would throw me down the stairs, I used to have a lazy eye, and I needed glasses, and she would get mad at me because I didn't know what she wanted me to pick up off the ground. She took a mop handle and slashed my arm and broke my arm, and I would hide behind the recliner chair. So there was tons of abuse.
Did you have a cast put on your arm when she broke your arm?
No, it was one of those things where it's kind of like, let's pull on it until it,
snaps back in.
God.
Unbelievable. And she comes from a small community, folks. And, she was saying today, it's not...
I come from, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, please. You're the guest here. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, the thing with where I come from is as almost as bottom as southern Illinois that you can come from. I come from Cairo. And majority of the kids there, it's a poverty-stricken area, 100%. There's no jobs, no nothing. Most of the people there live off the system, and there's tons of kids that are taken away from their parents. And I mean, it's just just horrible. And it's kind of like the thing that I hate about that is that if somebody calls DCFS on you, it's punishment. Oh, well, you didn't do this for me, so I'm going to call DCFS on you. And, it's just, it's like DCFS is kind of a bargaining tool.
Right.
And it's just absolutely horrible.
Especially in those type of communities, because I got to see it with my own eyes and see how people literally retaliated against each other, neighbors against each other.
Absolutely.
And
They
use it. They would call DCFS just to be able to.
That's right. I think we have a caller. Hi, caller. Are you on the line?
Yes.
Hi. How are you?
Oh, fine.
What's your name?
It's Laurel Pierce.
Hi.
Welcome.
Welcome to the National Safe Child Show. Did you have a question? Did you want to add a comment?
No, I don't have any question. I just have something to add.
Please do.
I have been raising 4 kids on the system.
Okay.
And I've been harassed by Ministry for Children and Families for 25 years.
Okay.
My daughter was a straight A student all her life, the oldest girl. I had a Down syndrome son, the 3rd child, since that they were so vicious, they just trumped it up to the point where it was ridiculous. All my kids were all exceptionally well looked after. I can prove that. I have proof for that because I have doctors, reports, everything.
Right.
They never took my kids, but I had to physically fight them off for 25 years, all the years I was raising my children. And I was called when I got all my information in privacy reports. I mean, the things that were going on were just absolutely ridiculous, like they made up all kinds of stories. I've had male social workers in my bedrooms. They stalked me and the kids. They've harassed me and the kids all these years, pulling them out of school, pulling them out of questioning them. I mean, it was just a constant lies. There was never any substance to anything. They would team up with enemies, ex-abusive spouses, or anything like that just to harass me. The last time that I dealt, they even said I beat up my son with Down syndrome and put him in the hospital. And that was like written behind my back in my records. I'm like, my God, like that. And then so I went to the director of Ministry for Children and Families, and I had it out with him. And, oh, well, we're sorry, because I said I want to sue you, right?
Right.
Oh, well, we're sorry. And that was the end of it. And all those years but I know what they do to people.
Right. Was your son ever put in the hospital? Did they ever have any hospital records?
No hospital records. I even went after the person that said this, that was one of the head guys in the ministry office, and I went right in his face, where's the hospital records, you liar?
Right.
And, he just put his head down, you know what I mean, and not say a word.
This is what they're doing to
There's
families.
no records, nothing.
Right. This is
Pardon
what they're
me?
doing to families, to take children, steal
They'll
children,
do anything.
kidnap.
And if they're handicapped, see, my son is severely handicapped. He doesn't
Oh, and
speak.
because he's worth more,
Even
that's
today,
why.
he's 21. He doesn't speak. I did sign a 3-month care agreement for one of my older boys, and they just completely cut him off from me or any member of the family. And then I went there, and basically I just took him out. Took him home.
Right.
And told them all to go to hell, and then they kept the money for him for quite a few months,
Right.
claiming that he was in
Exactly.
foster
It's the
care.
money.
Well, that's
And
what
I
that's what it boils down to. Unfortunately, our children, folks, have become a paycheck, and they've become
That's all
a
they are.
means
Yes.
Yeah.
in which our government can justify all of this money. They are the means.
Yeah,
And-
this taxpayers paid for all this.
Yes, absolutely.
My daughter actually has gone to university and gotten a degree. She worked herself through herself, got a degree in special needs just to protect her brother because she was so impacted by, how she was harassed, just taken out of school, taken out of tests,
my
and
God.
I've got the honor roll, everything, from the
Right.
time she was a little kid, and all my kids did well in school anyway.
Do you
know,
feel
and-
like it was because you went against and you stuck up for yourself? Some people just
Yeah.
cower. Other people say,
Oh no,
hey,
I always did. I used to just say, "Get the hell out of here." I used to be stalked to the point where,
Yay.
Yes.
they'd come bash the windows in, and I'd say, "Get the hell out of here! I'll call the cops." And
right. Well, that's what it seems to be.
I just treat them like criminals
Right.
Because they are.
I mean, got to
They
that
are
point,
criminals. They
right.
are criminals.
Well, that's what some people have labeled Child Protective Services, CPS. They now label Criminal Protection Services. It's not
they are criminals.
because
It
they're
is
not protecting
criminal
children.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
That's good. Yeah.
they're stealing children. We thank you so much for calling, and we encourage you to please.
Oh, I speak out all the time.
Oh,
I don't
yes.
care. I mean, that was just unbelievable for me to be put through everything that I went through, and the kids, and there was no need for it. My kids were always the best dressed, well fed, and I mean, I come from, the reason why I was on the system in the first place was because I was escaping abuse from my daughter's father, and he had a lot of money. Like, they were actually a family that were millionaires. His parents were anyway, and he used police, he used the welfare, and he harassed me with the welfare, and that's how it all started. And they just keep it up.
Yeah.
And it's just all lies. It was all lies. I can prove it's lies,
Right.
but
I'm very
to sue
proud of
them
you,
would
though.
take a fortune.
Right.
I don't even know if you can.
I'm very proud of you for being, first of all, a fighter.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
it's very, very hard. And we all know what it's like, but I commend you, and I'm very proud of you. Very
I mean,
proud.
I just speak out everywhere because I know how they lie.
Right.
And I know how they even go to your friends.
I
And
know.
they'll convince your
yeah.
friends
Oh,
that
they
you're a
will go
child
everywhere.
abuser. And then your friend will turn on you thinking
Yeah.
that there's, that you've done something, and oh my
Right.
God.
Oh yeah. When they're done with
they
the
ruin your
person,
life.
they make you look like you are a
They-
criminal. They falsify
Oh,
records.
I
they
know.
Make
They
up
even call me a criminal. They call me a recidivist.
But you know what's crazy is you really look at the MO of a pedophile, and it's
I
their
know.
MO.
Yeah.
It's the same
I
MO.
know they would love to get their hands on my son with Down syndrome so they could put him someplace where he would be used and abused that way. I know that.
I'm so
'Cause he can't
proud of
speak
you,
out.
honey, for fighting and for stepping up. It's probably the reason why, unfortunately, that they harassed you and continued through the span of those
Yeah, it's
years.
just-
But
they were after my son right away.
Right.
Even community living came
Right.
with the welfare when they wouldn't let me at the hospital with him. We just left and stuck our fingers up and accused the nurse of baby selling.
So it's
the head nurse, and that's how
Right.
we got out. But I had police; they would just show up in my house.
I
and,
understand.
strange
No, you know
times
what?
and-
We've got. There are thousands of people across America that this is happening to, and this is why we're having
Yeah,
this.
I'm in
Yes.
Canada actually.
Yeah,
you're in
there you go.
Canada.
Well, there's
Oh.
no difference. It's worldwide.
This
We've got
no
it in the
difference.
UK,
Yeah, same thing.
in Canada.
I hear the
in
same things all
Australia.
over,
And
yeah.
this is what we want. This is why we have this show. And so if you could just make it in Canada to start a group to make sure
There
that
are a
every
lot, yeah.
every
Yeah,
Wednesday
there's lots of groups
we
here
are
now,
that
and
we
we're
are
together.
here
We're getting together and all
at-
speaking out. There's so many
every
kids dying
Wednesday
here.
at 12 o'clock
It's
so they can
unbelievable.
log on.
Babies dying in foster care, starvation, abuse. I mean, oh God, it's sick.
Well,
Thank
keep
you
us
very
so
much.
sad.
Continue to listen,
Yes.
and we'd love for you to email us at nscshow at yahoo.com.
Okay, I'll write that down.
nscshow@yahoo.com. And we'd love to tell more of your story. We have our guest on today, and we've got to wrap it up with you.
Yeah,
but
okay, NSC
show.
N
Thank you
That's
so
it?
much.
Okay. Anywhere I
Thank
can
you.
Thank
scream
you.
my
Absolutely.
story. I can prove everything I'm saying,
Okay,
too.
well-
If anybody ever wanted to have me to talk to
We
me
would
further,
love to.
I'll
Yes.
email you.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you
thanks.
so much
Okay,
for
bye.
calling.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Keithsha?
Keithsha, are you still there?
Yes.
Sorry, honey.
Yes, I am.
We,
Oh no, that's fine.
this.
I just want to go ahead and put my page out there.
Yes.
I have my full story on Foster Children for Change on Facebook. It's a Facebook page, Foster Children for Change.
Exactly.
And we have a couple of foster children that are telling their stories, just like I did, and you can read all of them. And we accept everybody, bio parents, counselors, foster parents, therapists. Everybody's welcome, even if you don't have anything to do with the system.
But you want to help.
Everybody needs to get
Right.
involved.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Strength
the
in numbers.
point.
Strength
That's
in
the
numbers.
point. People need to understand that right now you are in your mid-20s. You're going to therapy and counseling. And recently, I want the folks to also know that recently there was some discussion with your counselor that you've never been diagnosed before, but that you have PTSD, right?
Oh, no. I was actually talking to my counselor from whenever I was, in my teens, in my late teens.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was talking to her. And I said, what kind of counselor do I need? Because I was looking for foster care counselors. I don't know. I never had to pay for a counselor on my own.
Right.
But now I do. And she said I might want to look into one that had into PTSD.
PTSD.
Whatever it is.
specializes in PTSD.
Yes, and so I actually found an ex foster care counselor because I thought that would be best for me because my whole life, revolved around being in foster care.
Right.
And but she's helped me tremendously and, helped me realize what a great husband I have and what a great life I have.
And you're you're a survivor. You're no longer a
Exactly.
victim. You're a
Right.
survivor, and you're vocal about it.
Woohoo! Survivor.
I have to be.
You
Yes.
have to be, because you're doing it not just for you, your family, but for all of the foster children that are going through this hell. When you left the foster care system, were you skilled in life experiences as far as...
No, I almost
Were
burnt
you-
down my first apartment within, a week, trying
You-
to cook some bacon on high. I mean, my cooking skills were like zilch. My cooking skills now are like almost zilch. I know how to use a crock pot.
Right. So you never
But
learned any life skills, really. You were just kind of this nomad that was just switched over from house to house, weren't taught about finances, weren't taught about cooking, weren't taught about responsibilities like parents are supposed to teach their children so that they can make it in the world. You didn't know any of
Yeah,
that.
I mean, with my first paycheck, I'll tell you something funny. With my first paycheck, I thought that you got all of your money. I thought that your first paycheck was tax-free. I didn't know that you had to pay taxes on your first paycheck.
It's like you're
Aw.
learning now
Exactly.
about how to live in the real world, because that world that you were in that's actually within this world was not a world. It was more of a
It's because they-
whirlwind.
the
Yes,
children
I
are just a
mean,
paycheck.
it's
They don't
you know,
teach you
it's-
anything.
It just seems like a factory, and it's just, just move down the assembly line and we'll aid you out, and, whatever happens in between, and, you just deal with it. But we're not going to give you counseling for it. We just want to give you counseling on keeping you in the foster home that you're in now.
Right.
And then whenever you age out, you have all these problems, and then everybody wonders why foster children become criminals because, we have no support system.
They don't know what
They
to
don't
do.
know.
They've just been abused. They've been thrown around. They've been living out of a garbage bag, and they have no
and the
idea.
only people that will accept them is other foster children that don't know how to live out on their own.
I just want to say your first, the first loving foster home, they kept pictures of you for years and years, over a decade, right? And then when they saw you on
Yes,
Facebook,
I mean, over a decade. I mean, we're talking about 20, well, I'm 28 now. But But I mean, I was with them whenever I was 7, 8 years old.
So
I mean,
21
yeah,
years.
2 decades.
They saved
talking
these
about
pictures.
There's a picture of her.
And they sent her her childhood memorabilia that they have. They literally loved her so much.
Actually, I saw them. I actually we met up and I saw them.
Oh, they are beautiful
very
people.
touching.
They are 1 in a million, though, folks. Look at these pictures. We have them online right now, and it's really important that you understand that there is something in the face of an abused child that the glow is taken away. They try to smile. Right. They try to be happy. Right. They don't want to tell anybody because they don't want to be taken out of another home. If there's any stability, folks, the system needs to change, and it's up to each and every person to realize the government's stealing your money. They're stealing our children.
And money.
They're stealing your money, giving it to pedophiles. They're stealing your children.
Yes.
And you just keep paying for it, and then you even pay for the foster children after they're out of the system.
Exactly.
It's the justice system.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it needs just an overhaul. We need to just do a complete
We need to clean house is what we need to do.
House. We have a lot of plans.
Yes.
Again,
yes.
Keithsha, we love you, honey. We're so proud of you.
I'm so proud of you.
Yep. And this is only the beginning. Even our listeners today are just, I don't know if you're looking at us online. They are so proud of you. They all just want to let you know that they love you.
Everyone is proud of you.
Yep, we stand behind you, and that this is only the beginning. It's Foster Children for Change on Facebook, folks. Reach out to her. She has her store.
The page. I am on the page, and I am on the group.
Yes.
So,
perfect.
Reach out to her. Encourage
we need more
her.
people.
Yes.
Definitely bio parents. We need biological parents
Yes.
on our Facebook page. I know it's hard to stand up, but you are part of the system, and we need you.
Yes.
We need you, and we need counselors. We need everybody.
That's
we just
right.
need everybody, even if you have nothing to do with the system. We need you
Stand
to
up.
be on our Facebook page, Foster Children for Change. And, make a change and stand up. And, one day, hopefully soon, we'll be able to change the system that is.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
We will.
Governor
Yes, we
Brewer
will.
in Arizona, folks, again, she abolished CPS in the state of Arizona. We are asking for a nationwide abolishment.
Exactly.
You're in your state. Get involved. Write letters. Get petitions. It's happening in every state. It has to stop. Child abuse must end.
We want all the other governors to jump on board.
That's right. And we have a campaign going. We love you, honey. We will be. This is only the beginning of a wonderful relationship and a support and a campaign. We are gathering people, and you are gathering people through this show. You are courageous.
And make sure that you tell everyone every Wednesday here, ubnradio.com,
That's
channel
right.
2, because we are global now, and so we want to make this grow and grow big because we are on a movement here.
We need to support each other.
Yes, and Keithsha, we dedicate a show to a child at the end of every show, and I am dedicating this to you and your little one.
Oh. Thank you.
And she's beautiful. And Keithsha put pictures up. She is gorgeous. And Keithsha has learned to protect her and that there is a family unit. Honey, you found your family.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, I did. Families are always blood, but, Nick's family is just as good as my family.
That's right.
That's right.
You have your
You go,
family. Yes. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening today.
Thank you very
much.
much.
Love you. And
see you next week.
See you next week. Same time, same channel.
Thank you for listening to the National Safe Child Show on UBN Radio. For past episodes, visit the archives on ubnradio.com. And for more information, go to nationalsafechildcoalition.com.